One of the problems with the recent announcements from the government is that it leaves so much unclear. So we are now operating in a huge period of uncertainty. But what we do know is that virtually everything we're hearing is negative, and it amounts to an attack on nature of a sort of unprecedented scale. So potentially the impact of this is that we see farming going backwards in terms of becoming less sustainable, despite the wishes of many farmers to actually do better by the environment. We see housing development being done in the wrong way, despite the fact that housing developers, many of whom we work with, want to do things better. We see companies that wanted to invest in making things greener and better not being able to do so because of the fact that they don't know how the regulatory frameworks are going to work. And we see more sewage on the beaches and in our rivers. So it's quite terrifying. In the past, many politicians have thought of nature as just a nice to have. But for the last couple of decades, we've been getting more and more evidence that show beyond doubt that without nature, there is no economy, there's no stability for society. When we look at the climate crisis, one of the ways to actually tackle the climate crisis, and remember we had 40 degrees C here for the first time ever in Kent this year. One of the ways to stop that from becoming so debilitating that we have hundreds of thousands of deaths each year, we have flooding of all of our main coastal towns, Kent being totally transformed in somewhere that's quite difficult to live in a kind of safe way, is by restoring nature. And anything that puts us back on the time frame of getting that going now is dangerous. The real issue here is that if we don't act now, and if you don't act now, and if you don't actually make a noise with us and tell your elected representatives that all of these changes that are being proposed have to be properly thought out, otherwise they are unacceptable, and that whatever comes next off the back of any sort of form of change from the regulations that we've been living with for the last 30, 40 years has to be based upon doing no harm to nature, then we potentially lose huge amounts of wildlife in this county. We potentially have worse pollution than we've currently got in this county. So your drinking water and your beaches and your rivers all become dirtier and sort of filled with more sewage. Not very nice for your families to go and have fun on a hot summer's day. And in fact, those hot summer's days get hotter and hotter until it's intolerable. So we have those 40-degree C days that we had this year a lot more regularly, and we have people dying because of it. That's what potentially is going to happen if this government's plan goes unchecked. It's an attack on nature, it's actually an attack on the economy in terms of having a sustainable economy, and it's an attack on your children and their future.